This is the White GuanYin Temple in downtown Kathmandu, Jana Bahal. A famous GuanYin Temple there. Look at the familiar Dharma images on the temple's facade, in different sitting or standing positions. They are the 108 Lokeśvara. The camera turns away from Nepal to Taiwan, over 3,700 kilometers. This is the Lower Monastery of the Ling Jiou Mountain, the Sheng Shan Temple. Awaiting us is a sight that is both familiar and strange at once of the 108 Lokeśvara in varying postures. That brings to mind the outer wall of the White GuanYin Temple in Nepal and the resemblance to the bronze reliefs of the 108 Lokeśvara. Coincidence? How come? At the crack of dawn, worshiping, praying, holding both hands together. Every day at any given time, there are large numbers of worshipers. The devout believers are said to be offsprings of the Shakyamuni clan. At the time when Muslims destroyed countless Buddhist figures and statues and occupied the holy Nalanda in India, sparing neither monasteries nor libraries, hordes of Buddhist monks were either slaughtered or they fled to Tibet and neighboring lands for refuge. Images of the Buddha were destroyed en masse. Destruction strangely stopped when reaching the borders of Nepal. As a result, there is in Nepal a lone lineage of Indian Buddhism that gave rise to the Nua and the Mahayana traditions. They have retained such low profile just to continue the Buddhist legacy without spreading it, or for other reasons. Some say that Nepal is the origin of the Vajrayana, hence the matriarch of the Tibetan Buddhism, and the world's only country that applies Sanskrit to promoting secret mantra. The time-honored tradition of worshipping Guanyin also left its traces here. But did it really happen like that? Let's go back to Guanyin Bodhisattva, who appears wherever her presence is prayed for. The Guanyin tradition is widespread. Wherever there are people, there is faith in her. Once the Lotus Sutra and its 25th chapter on Guanyin appeared, Mahayana Buddhists everywhere would take to the faith of Guanyin. Not only in other Mantrayana Buddhism scriptures would we come across frequent references to Guanyin, but throughout much of Asia, like China, Tibet, and Japan, the Guanyin tradition has since long become a trend. Buddhism originated in India and spread east to reach China, which, in the history of civilization, marked one splendid chapter. The introduction of Guanyin that became a tradition can be said as the furthest reaching in China, a popular faith that blends well culturally. But what is the story of Ling Jiou Mountain and its connections to Guanyin Bodhisattva? It's a Guanyin monastery that upholds compassion and Chun for principle. In its Upper Monastery, we see the Tara Lokeśvara, the Eleven-faced Lokeśvara, and the Vairocana Lokeśvara, and the red copper replicas of the 108 Lokeśvara from Nepal as observed in its Lower Monastery, which shows how significant the Guanyin tradition is to Ling Jiou Mountain. How did the 108 Lokeśvara come about? How do they relate to Ling Jiou Mountain? Allow the reference to the artistry behind the red copper reliefs for a survey of the ubiquitous Guanyin and get a glimpse of the height of Buddhist art in Nepal. while getting to know how the newer tradition, as Buddhist descendants, managed to preserve and advocate in the Kathmandu Valley their own hereditary culture. Also, from the development of Vajrayana and the secret mantra, we connect the dots of Buddhism over 2,500 years by understanding the development of Buddhism in Nepal, in its past, present, and future. We observe how Buddhist descendants practice Guanyin's teachings of great compassion that is selfless and altruistic, as well as to know more about the original Dharma lost to humankind. We begin the journey with the 108 Lokeśvara, probing deep into the tradition's origin and development by reaching the faraway birthplace of Buddhism, namely India and Nepal, along its routes into China, Tibet, Japan, and Taiwan. From afar to close by, from past to the present, we trace the diversified transformation of Guanyin in different areas, from the west to the east. We explore episodes of how the Guanyin tradition spread out. We yearn and long for the Dharma. We invite you to witness how Ling Jiou Mountain optimizes compassion and Chun in opening up new chapters of the 108 Guanyin tradition.